This week, we're talking about parent-teacher relationships, the good, the awkward, and the downright hilarious side of working with parents. I'm your host, Courtney, and here with my beautiful co-host, Erin.
Hello.
So, Erin, you have a unique side of this topic because you are both a parent and you were a teacher.
Yes. So it's interesting to really, it's kind of nice to have this double perspective on the side of things because as a parent, I can really relate to the stresses that come with teachers. And obviously, now with my son going into kindergarten next year, I'm going to be able to be a better support for the teacher
Hmm.
because of course I want to be the room mom. Like
Of
that is
course.
just I'm gonna do the field trips, I'm gonna do the fun snacks, whatever it might be. Sign me up. But being able to be that extra support for the teacher while not overstepping those lines, because I've seen that too,
Yeah.
where parents just want to really overstep, and you're like, no, stay in your lane. Your child is a problem in the classroom, so we don't want you overstepping.
How do you feel about the parents that overstep and try to parent somebody else's kid in the classroom?
Oh, I have a great story for that. So I was teaching one day, obviously. The kids were going to a special, and I forget what special it was, but it doesn't matter. And it was in kindergarten, but there was a sub assisting me, but the kids were all lined up on the stairwell. Well, one of the little boys decided to lift up the little girl's skirt.
No.
Wrong. Yes. She ended up kicking him in the junk.
Well.
So both wrong. So
Hmm.
obviously I moved both of their colors because yes, he shouldn't have lifted up the skirt, but she shouldn't have reacted with that
Wrongs don't
she
make a right.
exactly. Well, the next day the dad came in, yelled, screamed at me because how dare I, move his daughter's color because she was protecting herself. And, you know, I was like, well, the teacher was right there.
Right.
She could have. And I tried to explain to him, we don't want to solve it with violence. Well, then he started rambling on about how, more I should have been watching this other kid because this other kid has been a problem since day one. And it like exploded. Even the principal got involved.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the principal agreed on because this was an amazing admin. The principal agreed that two wrongs don't make a right. Just because, and granted, the little girl had bicycle shorts on underneath. The little boy shouldn't have done that, but she shouldn't have kicked him in the balls.
Right.
And the dad definitely tried to overstep those lines real quick.
Yeah. Got a little overprotective there, huh?
Just a little.
Yeah. When I worked in preschool, there was mornings were fun because there were, three and just wild. So
Yes.
high energy all day long. But drop-offs and pickups were always the hardest. And there was one morning where I was opening, so I'm by myself for this moment, and there's kids running around, pushing each other, screaming in each other's faces, So I'm over trying to put out one fire. And as I am talking to them, a completely separate parent from these two children comes into the room and walks over and gets down on their level and starts talking to them as if they knew what was going on. I was in the middle of telling them why they can't hit each other, and she just walked on over as if I wasn't there, got down and was trying. And my lead teacher, I told her later, my lead teacher had to talk to that parent and be like, that was overstepping.
Yeah.
She was in the middle of speaking to the kids. You can't undermine her authority, basically.
Yeah.
And some parents will do that. They don't care.
No, they don't. But not gonna lie, I always thought it was funny when admin would try and overstep when they don't even know the kids because our one boss, remember
Mm,
how he would go into the classroom
yeah.
and then try and take over?
Yes.
And he has no idea who these kids are.
None at all. They were a number to him.
Yes, they were a paycheck.
Yep.
And yet he would take over and then the class is just full of chaos. And then
there
he
were
would leave and then expect y'all to like reel it back in. Like,
yes, yes. And then he would always come in and go right for your son and pick him up and play with him. So all the other kids obviously want the same attention. And he's one person and he doesn't know these other kids.
no, but somehow knew my son.
Yeah. And it was always chaos.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was pure chaos.
Yeah.
But even then, admin still think that they understand the kids. No.
No.
I will say the one admin that I worked with when I was in the kindergarten classroom, she was great because she would make an effort to go and visit like every classroom to get to know the parents. She was very active. She knew all the families. She knew, I don't think I've ever seen her miss a kid's name unless it was a brand new kid and she had to learn the name.
Hmm.
She was phenomenal. Yeah. So when she stepped into a classroom, it was like there was no loss of chaos. She never overstepped. But unfortunately, there are some admin who do not.
Where were we?
Sorry for that. We had to take a brief pause because my child had to interrupt and tell me that he smelled poo. So obviously, I had to take care of that situation.
Yes.
We completely forgot what we were talking about, other
But
than parents and
your principal knowing families pretty well.
yes, yes. Which I always think like that creates so when your admin truly knows the families and the kids, and when they come in to assist with the classroom, everything still runs the exact same.
Hmm.
The flow doesn't like get all wonky. Have you ever worked with an admin that was actually good like that?
I will say that at the last place I was at, one big school, the admin knew the families pretty well, knew all the kids by name, not necessarily their behaviors. That was that one was still hard, but they were pretty good at communicating with families. I'll give them that.
Yeah. Now, when it came down to, of course, working at a Catholic school, donations were a big thing. So
Hmm.
she really knew the high hitters, really got to know them. But I will say, when it comes down to parents volunteering, there was one family who was one of the biggest volunteers to this school. Massive. And they're very, very well known. I'm not even going to say who they are, but you would never guess it looking at this mom. This mom came in with like milk stained t shirts, hair thrown up in a messy bun, ripped jeans. Like it looked like she literally rolled out of bed, but then like you hear who she's married to
Hmm.
and stuff, and you're like, holy shit. But she was one of the best room moms. Her and the other mom, they were like little best buddies. They
Hmm.
were some of the best room moms because not only when, like, a lot of times before they would come in to help, they would bring us coffee.
Love it.
Greatest thing ever. But then they were always like, well, what can we do to help you?
I love that.
Yeah. If even if it was simple as, hey, do you have to run to the bathroom? We can read a story.
Nice.
It was great. And they put together some of the best room mom like Christmas presents. Mm, great. So I love working with those moms because they were
Hmm.
so helpful. They never overstepped and everything. They even like when their kids would get all like weird clingy,
Yeah,
they would be like, "No, I'm here to help everyone, not
I love
just
that.
you, Sally and Jim, but I'm here to help everyone," which was so nice.
Yeah,
'Cause obviously, when it's your child, there's obviously gonna be favoritism because it's your own kid. But they did a good, like, balance.
I love that.
What about have you had some really great room parents?
Um, we didn't really do room parents. I mean, we had one parent that kind of made themselves the room parent, and they would just send out emails to remind them of like
Mm,
Spirit Week and stuff.
yeah. So not necessarily. Well, I know in the place that we worked, parent volunteers were not a thing.
Yeah,
There was a lot of parents who asked, but it was never me who said no. It was always the bosses. So I'm wondering if they said no because they didn't want the parents to see what was really going on.
possibly.
Because they said it was a safety issue. But you can
Interesting.
get fingerprinted.
Right.
There's a lot of things you can do to kind of help with the classroom, but the two bosses always said no and said, it's a safety issue.
Interesting.
Was it really? Mm. Safety for you two
Yeah,
and your
covering your
offshore.
butts, allegedly. But on the flip side of being a parent, have you, I'm, I know the answer to this is yes, but have you dealt with teachers with poor communication?
Absolutely.
Do you have a story you want to share?
Let's see. Obviously, like being a teacher, there's always going to be those couple parents that are kind of like ghosts
Yeah.
and they never want to go to parent teacher conferences. You might see them at like the Christmas pageants or whatever, and it's really just hard. Eventually, you just kind of send little notes back and forth on like the weekly like behavioral reports,
Hmm.
but that pretty much sums it up. But as a parent, there was that one teacher in my son's room
Yeah.
who would constantly badmouth my child. Well, there was multiple people in that building who would badmouth my child, and I am not quiet. I was respectful,
Yes.
but I made it very well known that it's not gonna happen with my son. Um, but as far as like with good, and that was the biggest thing that I noticed as a parent, was I went to a actual facility, like my son was in an actual daycare, and the communication was, other than like discounting, like not like you and your sister who constantly communicated about my son,
Right.
but majority of the people there was like zero communication. So when I removed my son and placed him in that home school based daycare, it was a night and day difference
Yeah.
with communications. I got pictures, I got videos, I got, multiple text messages throughout the day. Even like when I would go and pick up little man, there was like a full debrief. Hey, he ate this for lunch and this and this and this and this for snack. We had to have a sit down conversation about, why we don't need to chase our friends full speed around the kitchen. So we had to sit down for a couple minutes, but we quickly recovered and it was such a nice, smooth breakdown. Like I said, I'm still in communication with her
Yeah.
and my son still goes out there, which I do have to text her. But
So, the topic of good communication. Do you have a moment where you collaborated with this director? I guess call her director, right? The owner of the
home based daycare?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of collaboration. So whether that be, I would always do something for my son's birthday.
Hmm.
So like we would bring in, so she had a rule about, because it was a small home-based daycare, like she didn't need extra hands because she already had so many kids in the house and her mother-in-law and her husband and
Hmm.
her own child. So she was like, I don't need more adult hands, which she said, but if you want to send in like gift bags or whatever, like I would do that. And one thing I would always try and help with was she does every year a big Easter egg hunt, whether you're still at that school or not.
Oh,
Yeah. So she collaborates with all the parents to help like fill eggs and stuff like that. So I do try and help out when I can with
make
her.
yourself an honorary room mom.
Yeah. But no, you can like order, like if it's your child's birthday, she doesn't mind if you order pizzas to the house or anything like that. So,
What's one way that you think a parent can help without overstepping?
ask the teacher what they really need. Like
Yeah.
even if it's, "Hey, is there any copies I can make you?" or "Hey, do you need anything cut out?" Little things like that go a long way.
They really do, especially when you spend hours cutting things out yourself.
Yeah. And if you have the means to, bring your teacher a little coffee or a little tea or a little specialty drink. If you have the means to, little things go a long way.
Yes. So what do you think is the appropriate way to handle helicopter parents? And I'm talking in the classroom.
Yes, that's helicopter parents. I'm trying to think of a way to word it without pissing off
Do you want
too
me to
many
go
people.
first?
Yes, you go first.
So we had a parent that stayed around too long after drop off to the point that it would just confuse their kid and they thought they were going home with them because they were there so long. And they were like needed to stay and make sure that the kid said I love you back and goodbye back and gave a hug or two hugs or whatever it was, and then they had to make sure they were playing with somebody kindly, and it just every day it got longer and longer. So we had to sit down with her and be like, hey, we noticed on the days that you kind of have to drop and go because you have an appointment or something, he has a great transition. It's fantastic. He doesn't freak out. He doesn't think he's going home. The longer you stay in the classroom, the more anxious he gets and the more he wants to leave with you. And
Yep.
it sucks if he doesn't say love you back, but at the same time, just say it and go.
Drop and go.
If he doesn't say it back, that means he's just having too much fun. It's nothing personal.
Yeah. So what do you think the best way to approach that as a helicopter parent?
I think you just have to approach it with empathy,
Mhm.
but firmness as well.
Yeah.
And like if one day you see that parent, you know, if they had like a solid week of drop and go and then come the next week they're staying a little too long, you have to be willing to give that reminder and be firm on your stance
Yeah.
there.
I get that. I mean, have I been guilty to send that email to a helicopter parent on a Friday afternoon right before I walk out the door? Yes.
Gotta do
Because
what you gotta do.
sometimes you got to do what you got to do because if you get caught up in that conversation in person, they're just going to suck you in.
Yeah.
And it's always yeah, but no. No. You have to be so firm, empathetic, but then also like there comes a point where that firmness might have to turn into a little assertiveness
Hmm.
because sometimes that helicopter parent goes extreme.
Yeah.
Like with the dad and his daughter
Yeah.
kicking a boy in the balls. That was extreme helicopter parent. It's okay, parents. Your children love you. If they do, drop and goes are the best way to do it. They suck. I know, but they're the best way. Your kids are going to be fine. Let the teacher develop that communication with your child
Yeah.
because if your child does not see you work well with the teacher, what is that child going to think? I don't have to work well with the teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
Mommy and daddy don't. Why do I?
No, I was just agreeing. Yeah. So just for to lighten it up a bit, do you have a funny situation with a parent that they like emailed you something funny and you're like, there's no way I just got emailed this?
Yes, I got emailed because well, not really have I gotten emails before from parents saying, little Stevie walked in, so I apologize if stuff has was heard
Oh.
beforehand. But some of the funny where we had to reach out to parents
Hmm.
was because I had a student come up to me and said, "What time is it?" I was like, "It's about noon." And he goes, yes, I know." And I'm like, "What do you know, bud?" And he goes, "My mom right now is at home milking my little brother." What? So obviously we had to communicate with that parent saying, your son was going around saying that you are milking your new son. She goes, "Yep, he's been walking in on me breastfeeding and thinks I'm a cow."
Poor mom.
Yeah. And it was so great. Like it was so funny. So we've had to have those conversations a lot because in kindergarten, these kids do not keep quiet
No.
at all.
No.
Parents, kids are watching, kids are listening.
Kids are sponges.
Some of the best tea ever, though.
For real.
Yeah.
Um,
Like,
I had to email the entire class once because
oh.
our kids had taken to playing a game called Let's Play Dead,
Oh.
and they would just drop on the ground.
Who thought of that game?
We still don't know. We still don't know. We're like, it had to be one with an older sibling, like, but they would just drop dead, and then you would call them, we would be calling them inside, and they wouldn't move because they were quote unquote dead, which is scary the first time they played it because we did not know that this was a game they made up. And
Oh.
so, like, I'm rushing over, making sure the kid's fine. And then they're like, what? I was playing dead. I'm like, oh my God, you heard me calling your name. But yeah, I had to send out a message to the entire class, be like, hey, just so you know, in case they play it this weekend, the kids have started a game called Let's Play Dead. And they
Yeah,
just die.
that is terrifying.
Yeah.
But it brings the quiet game to a whole new level.
Yeah, for real. They were good at it. Because I really thought there was something wrong. I was like, why are they not getting up? Little Timmy.
Poor little Timmy.
I mean, kids will stick to a bit like nobody's business.
Oh, yeah, they will.
They're always in it for the bit.
Oh, absolutely. Once they're hooked, they're hooked.
Oh, yeah. Especially, oh, if they get a reaction,
It's game over.
yeah, that's it. No more.
Oh, no, it's the reactions part. Like, I know, like, over the weekend, I accidentally said, oh, shit. Well, guess what? My son was going around in public saying, oh, shit. It was great. I'm
That's
like, no, we
funny.
can't say that. But the more you say no, the
The more
more
they
they're
do it.
going to say it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, have you ever had to set a boundary with a parent? Like they're emailing at 10 p.m. expecting an answer or something crazy like that?
Well, one, I always live by the as soon as I'm done with work, I'm not going to read it until the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was an emergency from like one of like you guys when I was
Right.
like the manager and stuff. But other than that, if it's not important to let me know when I'm in office, then it can wait until the next morning. So luckily, I've never had parents really push back on that,
That's good.
which has been nice. Have you ever had to encounter that?
Yeah. Yeah, we got, I think it was like 8, 9 o'clock. We got like a very, I mean, it wasn't it's serious in tone, but the situation wasn't that serious. It definitely could have waited. And so nobody answered until the next morning. And then they came in and were very confrontational about this. And we're
Ooh.
like, we do have lives outside the classroom.
Yeah,
And we had to be like, listen, you could, just because you have the option to message us at any hour does not mean we have to answer it at any hour.
exactly. I mean, are you getting paid to answer it at that hour?
Nope.
No. So, unless like parents, unless it's like an absolute emergency, I can trust me, I understand as a parent, like emergencies happen
Yeah.
where you need to let somebody know whatever time of day it is. Your kid ended up having to go to the ER. You're worried about your child. Oh shit, I forgot to let the school know that they're not going to be in. Let me
Right.
send a quick email at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's not what we're talking about.
No, no. So we've talked about poor teacher communication, but have you ever had poor parent communication? Like,
Always.
I know one time one of our kids had COVID and
Mm-hmm.
the parent sent them in anyway. And then halfway through the day, we had to call because not even halfway through the day, halfway through the morning, we're having to call to tell them, hey, little Timmy has a fever and it's very
Yeah.
high and they're not acting themselves. And then they're like, oh, yeah, they have COVID. And it's
Huh.
like, you just exposed the entire class.
But that's the thing, like with all the illnesses. If I give them Tylenol right before we get there, nobody will ever know.
Oh, the amount of times the kids will tell us, I got medicine this morning.
Yeah. So why are you here?
Right.
I remember the one parents who are horrible at communication, especially when their daughter was sick. This was the couple that we had to call CPS on.
Mm, yeah.
That communication was horrendous.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the parents were just a hot mess of their own, but the little girl always coming in super sick. We never really know. We always have to call and be like, it's time to pick up your daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. And then they come right at like after pickup.
Yeah.
Like, no. But no, the mysterious Tylenol that's supposed to work all day, and then
Yeah.
you send your kid in sick thinking that it's going to go right over our heads.
We know
We know. We
because
always know.
Tylenol cannot get rid of the glassy eyed look,
No.
doesn't give them their energy back.
Nope. Nope. Or having sending your kids in with lice.
Oh, love that one. Love that
That's
one.
always fun. Or active hand, foot, and mouth.
And that's how I got hand, foot, and mouth
Yep.
as an
Parents,
adult.
pediatrician. If you don't know, and that's the thing, if you don't know whether to send your kid in or not, safe bet, don't.
And go to the doctor.
Go to the doctor. There was plenty of times like where I had to do a telehealth visit or take my son to urgent care because I'd be like, no, yes, he had a fever. Yes, I'm going to abide by, your policy of taking my son home, but we do have like this in place.
Hmm.
So, yes, I would do the telehealth or whatever. He'd get cleared and then he'd be back at school. Parents, you can make a telehealth visit like in like no time.
Yeah.
Most insurances accept telehealth.
Yes. And worst case scenario, they tell you you have to come in and get looked at.
Exactly. Like, I know the communication when at that homeschool daycare, there was a child who got a positive test result with RSV.
Oh,
Yes. The director, per se, she was phenomenal. She sent out automatically a mass blast text to all the parents saying, okay, here's the new protocol right now for RSV because we've already had 2 positive cases. We don't need any more. And one of those positive cases, the little girl's in the hospital, like admitted with
right,
RSV. So she made, if there was any sort of sniffle, it didn't matter if it was just like a wake up sniffle.
right,
Any sort of sniffle, child had to be tested and they had to bring the test results. There was one, and this was the odd one. My son, because I knew about all that, and oh, my son had his like wellness visit or something. It was odd. And so I talked to his pediatrician. I said, hey, there was a couple kids in his class. One of them's in the hospital with RSV. Should we just go ahead and test it? Because I want to make sure that I'm not gonna. My son seems perfectly healthy.
right.
Yeah, guess who tested positive for RSV?
Your son.
My son. And guess who ended up in the ER? My
Your
son.
son.
Yep. So even if you have an inkling, get tested. Like,
Yeah.
listen, moms, and I say moms very specifically because moms, we have that intuition with our children. Dads, the dads that are on it are on it. I'm not discounting any dads,
Right.
but parents, if you have any sort of inkling, just get your kid tested. My child was acting perfectly fine, still tested positive for RSV, and then wound up in the ER
Yeah.
like a
Better
week
safe
later.
than sorry.
Yes. So don't ignore your child's sickness and don't send them if you've had to give them Tylenol. We
And
all
make
work. Trust me. I get it.
yes. And make sure you communicate it to the teachers.
Yes. Communicate it to the teachers. Yes. We all have PTO for a reason at
Yes.
work. If you complain that you have to watch your child sick at home, then don't mess around with your PTO and allot some of those days to take care of your sick child.
Amen.
I do it all the time. I'm a single mom.
If you can figure it out, anyone can.
Exactly. If your companies are assholes, find a new job.
Yeah.
But that's a different topic.
Which I'm sure we'll get to eventually.
Yeah,
All right, Erin, do you have anything else on this topic you'd like to share?
I don't think so.
I
I
think we
got on
did
my
good.
soapbox about Tylenol babies, so
All right, to all the parents out there, we see you, we appreciate you, but please don't email us at 10 p.m. about snack schedules. Have a good one. See you next week.
bye.